Now, Sports Talk with Brodes. Here's Hunter Brody.
Hey guys, before we start this podcast, I want to let you know that I am running a weekly giveaway every single Wednesday on my Twitter account, @Brodes81. And this week we are giving away an awesome Ben Simmons player tee, and it's so simple to win. All you need to do to enter is follow my Twitter account, once again, @Brodes81, and retweet the pinned tweet that explains the rules. That's it. Next Wednesday, I will be picking the winner. Do not miss out on this chance. And by the way, there will be plenty of more fantastic prizes. We just gave away a Bryce Harper player tee, and just saying, maybe we'll be taking the step up from that very soon. What is going on, everyone? Welcome on into Sports Talk with Brodes. From the surface, I am not mad at this team at all. And even when we start peeling back layers and looking at the storylines afterwards, I'm still not mad at this team at all. But there are some interesting questions that I think are raised after seeing them go into overtime and lose to the Bucks the way that they did. But you did not have Joel Embiid. You lose Seth Curry late in the game, and you're on a second half of a back-to-back. When the Sixers beat the Knicks last night, I even said, as much as I want to give the Sixers credit for what Tobias did defensively to Julius Randle, and with everything that transpired in the fourth quarter, I also saw the Knicks hit a wall. You see them in the second half completely blow up and make some poor decisions because of the Sixers defense, but also because they got tired. They did not have their legs, and that all played a role in some of their decision making and trying to do too much. And with the Sixers, you saw it, and that's when you witnessed the Bucks go on that third quarter run where they kind of creeped back into things, and then in the fourth quarter they gave it up. Here's a turnover, and Connaughton ends up getting a big time jam. Sixers called timeout. Not good. You knew, you could sense it. All right, this Sixers team somewhat looks a little bit defeated from the body language perspective, but it makes sense that they did, right? So let's start off with what they did in the first half, because the defense was wild. That was wildly impressive. Ben Simmons on Giannis one-on-one, that's arguably the best defense I've ever seen in this damn league in quite some time. And it seemed that Doc Rivers and this Sixers unit, they had Giannis down. What's going to happen? He's going to walk back a bit, dribble 6 times, lower his shoulder, attack, do a spinorama. As he does the spinorama, bang, go get your guy. Bang, go get help defense. Bang, go attack, get your hands in the cookie jar, get a steal, which would lead to some transition points. Now, sadly, the Sixers only were able to score 45 points in that first half. It would have been nice to score 60, 62, 68, 76, 87 in that first half to give you more of that separation, considering the Bucks were missing everything and the Sixers just played harder than them, and it felt like their intensity was raised more, which forced the Bucks to have to take some contested shots and take some tougher shots and get some uglier looks than they're opposed to. They did miss a lot of their threes that they normally do hit as well, though. They were 1 of 17 from deep in the first half, and they had 13 turnovers. So they felt rushed. They felt, hey, we got to get cleaner. We got to get better looks. We got to do better. But to hold them to 31 points is, wow, special. You knew it would pick up, but that's special. I mean, that defense told me something. The outcome of this game, I wasn't necessarily worried about the win or the loss entering tonight. Entering this game, before tip-off even occurred, I told myself, it's not really about how the finishing touch goes in terms of, hey, they won, hey, they lost. I really just wanted to see how they defend these players. Chris Middleton, I thought Matisse Thybulle was able to be effective. You heard Doc Rivers call out Matisse Thybulle specifically after last game. You owe me one. Now, he didn't make any threes, which is something that has to change. Once again, with this Danny Green combo that people really want to dissect. It really should not have that much dissection. Danny Green has the power to have these type of nights. He can also do what Forbes did tonight, too, which sucks. 0 of 10. I think he finished 0 of 6 from the three-point land. So, yeah, Danny Green can do that, too. but the threat of Danny Green spacing out the floor, it is so important to the offense of this team, which you are so limited when Ben Simmons is out there. And I know Joel Embiid changes the dynamic of how you score buckets late. You'll be shooting significantly more free throws all throughout the game. And when you need points in crunch time and when Tobias isn't there for you, because he's not going to be there every night, but he's been there a nice portion of nights for you this season. I'm not trying to attack Tobias. I'm saying with Joel, you have other options. But I'm bringing up how important Danny Green is to starting and playing serious minutes to what you see with this half-court set. And it can get ugly and it can get bad. So I want to love the living shit out of Ben Simmons and that defense. But with all of that, I want to attack his offensive game as well. And I hate that people think that you can do both at the same time. During the game, I tweeted out in overtime, when they were battling, they were running the offense through Furkan Korkmaz and Dwight Howard. How is Ben Simmons not taking that personally? That's just spit in the face. Really? Furkan Korkmaz and Dwight Howard. That's what you are relying on in the half-court set in overtime. Once again, fully aware, no Joel Embiid, no Seth Curry. But okay, so that scenario occurs. This night happens, and you can't rely on Ben Simmons to be an option because in the half-court set, he is still a massive problem. So his defense is so unique. It's so stellar. It's so dominant. So for as much appreciation and love I want to give that, oh, do I want to give it something? I gotta despise his offensive play from a scoring mindset. His assist, very valid. His rebounds, very valid. But the 13 points is flawed because when the game was somewhat out of touch, Ben Simmons had an easy 2, and then with the shot clock expiring, he just decided to jack up a 3, which gave him his 13 points, which, okay, you got your triple-double. Russell Westbrook has a lot of triple-doubles as well. A lot of them don't mean a damn thing. This one for Ben Simmons doesn't mean a damn thing in my opinion. And that three-pointer, I really hate to be that guy, but didn't it look good? Didn't it actually have solid form? And there's been a couple now where he just jacks it up out of nowhere, and it looks good and it goes in. I always bring up the air balls he had. He had a couple air balls, and then he had a really short 3 for 3 threes in a row. That was over a stretch of basketball games, obviously. But there was a few in a row where they were pretty damn hideous, where I think that scared Ben Simmons from taking them. Then he had the random pull-up with the shot, with the game clock expiring a while back, which, if I remember correctly, that could have been a bad beat. You know how SVP has those bad beats? That Ben Simmons 3, I think, was a bad beat for people when it comes to making money or losing money on a big bet. So, damn, what a tough way to lose it. But in this game, maybe that was confidence building up. But why? Why? Because there are times where he takes them and they look good. Giannis, he was taking them and he airballed a few. He airballed a couple shots. But he's willing to take them and he hit a big one in overtime. I do think it actually hurts your team at times when you're just taking threes if you're Giannis. I don't think they're always extremely the best looking shots in the world, like the best timed shots I think I'm looking for. You don't need to take it every time it's available. You got to pick and choose when it's the right spots. But even just looking at it from a form look, Giannis is ugly. He's pushing it. It looks bad. I'm not here claiming that Ben Simmons has a beautiful looking jump shot by any stretch of the imagination. But if you're comparing the two bad shots, you got to admit that Ben Simmons might actually have better flow in his. Why don't you shoot it more? And it is going to be something that concerns me legitimately when the postseason comes around. And Joel Embiid playing at an MVP level, that can take away a lot of flaws, and that can be the difference in the outcome because he can steal you games and he can give you 40 where you don't need to rely on Ben Simmons being that type of special player in the half-court set. It allows you to do more. I got it. I understand how the sport of basketball works, but don't tell me I should be satisfied with how Ben's lack of awareness is in play here. Furkan Korkmaz and Dwight Howard. That was your offense! Oh, as much as I have the hard eye emojis for what Ben does on one side of the floor, I have the shit emoji on the other side, which kills me. It literally kills me. I shouldn't be satisfied with that out of Ben because he played hard defensively on Giannis. Find the right balance. Find the right balance. So when that second quarter came around, you had Dwight Howard. I just mentioned Dwight Howard. He is playing great. You shouldn't be trying to run pick and pops with my man late in the games. But just the Dwight Howard experience, I talked about how this is this wild ride of ups and downs and the emotional roller coaster. He is so damn electric. And there was this stretch in the second quarter where he tried to save a ball out of bounds. He didn't get it, but everybody appreciated the effort. You saw Doc Rivers and the coaching staff clapping on the sidelines. You saw action shots of the fans going nuts. They were clapping as well. You appreciate that, and he's having some fun with it. He acknowledges it. So you see that, right? And then there's a goaltending, but once again, it's more of the effort, being around the glass and showing that emotion, showing that passion after making a play that the fans erupt with. He hits a mid-range pick and pop on the other side, and then he has awesome defense on the next possession defensively, and his emotion took over. I wish I could have heard 25,000 standing up, screaming their faces off, going bonkers for that 4-5 play window of Dwight Howard, because that was seriously so unreal. I love this version of Dwight Howard. It's pretty damn remarkable. And oh, by the way, it's not just making effort plays, because my man is producing as well at this rate. 15 and 13, he gives you a double-double, and he's all over the map. He's cleaning up the offensive glass and putting it back. He's running the floor well. He's rim protecting. He's saving loose balls, or at least attempting to. Whew! The passion that he's playing with right now is definitely motivating this team, and it's forcing them to raise their bar, because that's what good role players do. And the fact that he's committed the way that he is, it is crazy. Ben Simmons. I know I'm flipping all around right now at this point, but going back to Ben Simmons, he finished with 7 turnovers and had 4 turnovers in the first handful of minutes of the game in the first quarter. You can't be winning basketball games if your lead guy, your primary ball handler, your point guard is giving you 7 turnovers. You got to be smoother. It comes back down to decision making. Speaking of primary ball handlers, Shake Milton. I'm so up and down with this Shake Milton experience. So Shake Milton had 15 points, but it took him 15 shots to do so. He did have a big 3 later in the game, but there's something missing from Shake Milton. There's no way that I should be convinced that Shake Milton is the guy, or Shake Milton should automatically have that role with anything that I've seen lately. For as good as there was some stuff in tonight's game that was like, okay, he did make that 3. And okay, he did have that nice play with his left hand attacking the rim and going up against the window very smoothly. Kissed it off the glass nice with the left hand. I've seen some very nice things out of Shake Milton. I keep seeing the ugly as well. And one of the ugly, it is between Shake Milton and Ben Simmons, but here's an out-of-play timeout in a crucial moment of the game. Shake Milton has the ball, and he's trying to lob pass it into Ben Simmons. It gets picked off and goes the other way for some easy points for Milwaukee. That's bad. And I read Kyle Neubeck's piece on the Philly Voice after the game, and he mentioned Tyrese Maxey's name, as if, should it be out of the question? Has Shake Milton given you enough to be convinced that, hey, this is what you need to ride with? Or should the door be open? Not that a rookie, not that there should be these expectations that a rookie will walk in and be able to fulfill that role, because by no means am I saying that. My point really lies on the Shake Milton part of it. There's too much sloppiness for me out of Shake Milton that I can't get behind that. I just can't. I know what everybody's thinking. How dare you, Brodes, go about 14 minutes into this and not mention Furky Doodle and his nice shot. All right, Furkan had a nice shot. 0.4 seconds left on the clock. Made a nice shot. Can't take that away from the kid. It was a big moment. He ran right to the corner. It looked like it was Dante DiVincenzo who wanted to go for the steal. Went for it, didn't get it, and Furkan delivered in the shot. Delivered in the moment. Delivered the shot in the moment. Yeah, I'll tip my cap to him. It was a nice shot by Furkan. I don't think he should be putting the ball on the floor running the offense and all. airballed the first shot. He came into that overtime period feeling himself a bit. Look, I'm not here to bash Furkan tonight for all those Furkan lovers that go quiet for 3 months at a time and then they peek their head during the couple of week stretch of the Furkanness that we see. Well, then you can have this one. I'll allow you to have this one. I won't play that game. Have at it. I will be honored to allow you to have this moment. How about that? Because I know that there's plenty more moments where all you guys are shutting the hell up, and here I am feasting on what feeds me here. Before we continue, I do need to let everyone know about my friends over at DeSimone Jewelers. I went to them for my fiance's engagement ring, and it was the best experience of my life. I went back for a Christmas gift, a birthday gift, a Valentine's gift. Every time I get jewelry, which it seems to be all the holidays, I'm going to DeSimone Jewelers for the rest of my life. They are a family-owned business with over 40 years of experience. They moved from Jewelers Row to Haddonfield, New Jersey. They don't use sale tactics. They just show you options, and they educate their customers, and they treat their customers like family. They customize and manufacture every ring they make from start to finish right there on location. And because of that, they're able to beat competitors' prices. I've sent so many family members and friends in their direction, and I get the same exact message all the time. Brodes, you're a genius. They're the best in the business. And I go, I know. I've been trying to tell you, you jerk off. And you'll be saying the same exact thing, though. You'll know exactly what I mean when you go in there and say, Brodes sent me. All their information is down below in the description. That fourth quarter, let's be realistic. There were some dud moments in this game where the offenses weren't able to click. Nobody was making their shots. It was stuck at 80-80 forever until it finally broke out a bit. And the Sixers had some turnovers. I thought the Bucks defense played well. They started to packed in, and they started to make it a living hell a bit for the Sixers to be able to run some stuff later on and get into their action. So that played a role too. Like that Bucks defense, I think they picked up their intensity and they matched it a bit. But all around, when I look at this Bucks team and I analyze what I just saw, sort of like how I started this whole show off with from the surface, this Bucks team, they have flaws. And during the game, they traded for P.J. Tucker. And Allah even alluded to this on the broadcast, which it could be true. When they were shooting 1 of 17 from the field, from 3 during the game, was there some of that emotional tie to, hey, what's going on? Who's getting traded? We're losing a teammate. We're gaining a teammate. Did that mental side of the game come into play? It's possible. I've never experienced anything like that. I don't know how that feels. You're logging in for a game, and I know it's a business, and you shouldn't be thinking about that. You got to go out there and execute and make plays happen on the court. But is there something of that where you're dapping up your teammates, you know someone's gone, and you haven't really had time to digest it, and it plays a role in the outcome of a game? I don't know. I guess it's possible that it did. But this Bucks team, I like Drew Holiday, and I thought Lopez made some deep threes to get this team back into things. We know what Dante DiVincenzo could do. We saw him do that in that building for Villanova for how many years. We witnessed him win a national championship. He has earned himself a nice role. So I thought other guys stepped up, and this team's a decent team, but they're a beatable team. In a 7-game series, the optimism in me is now raised. What I come away from with that game is they have something defensively. If they were to see this team in a 7-game series with Joel Embiid protecting the paint, and not even protecting the paint, let's say there's a scenario where you put Joel on Giannis, and maybe Giannis is not out or not inside the paint, and he's out a bit in that mid-range area. Joel Embiid comes out. Now you got to watch for cutters and watch for some of their plays that they would run. But I can imagine there'd be Joel Embiid on Giannis and switching things up from Ben Simmons at times. We know that Doc Rivers likes to try and get Ben Simmons off of their best player for a handful of minutes here and there to save some energy, maybe utilize another player. But if you have the other option as Joel Embiid, maybe you do that. In a 7-game series, I am so intrigued by this defense with what you could do with Danny Green and Matisse Thybulle helping out Ben Simmons when that spinorama move comes, because you know it's coming. He got stuck into that a couple times where his natural reaction took over, and that's what he does. When he gets stopped and when he hesitates, Giannis will stop stop both of his feet. They will be planted. He picks up his dribble and he tries to do a spin and maybe kick out. Sometimes, I'll be honest with you, sometimes I watch some of the plays Giannis makes, and it's the same exact style as Ben Simmons. When Ben Simmons freezes up and has to kick out, that's exactly what he'll do. He'll look around, he'll leave his feet, he'll spin, he'll try and make a pass. Now, I think the flow of Ben Simmons and his facilitating is definitely in a different level of Giannis, but Giannis is still so damn good at it and so special with it. That really tells you more about where I feel Ben is facilitating-wise, and that doesn't mean I'm not allowed to be mad at how the half-court sets change because of the biggest flaw in his game that has been problems for this team in the past, but I digress. And I hate doing that. I really do, because I loved Ben Simmons tonight. I really did. I appreciated every play that he had defending Giannis. It really was something that I admired. And that's not something that I do every single night all the time, is admire regular season defense. Because trust me, there isn't a lot to it, okay? In this league, that's not standard. So I don't really admire it. It's not something that's on my notepad after the game. Hey, you know what? I saw great defensive regular season play that I really admire. But that's what I got. And I also think that because this game tells me a little something, this game is a game that, not a measuring stick, but something that you can maybe apply some thoughts to a team that you'll see later on when it counts the most. And I saw the same issues that have been offensively that has crucified this team. That has been one of the reasons why you haven't been able to effectively run some half-court sets in the postseason. You never had Joel Embiid play to this level, though. And you're losing Seth Curry. And I wonder what this means for him, the severity of it. There is this lingering problem, it seems, that we have with Seth Curry. Not the most reliable player in the world, which is very unfortunate because when he gives you nights where he's giving you 20 points, it's game-changing. And there is something to be said about him letting it fly as of late. And after the game, I heard Korkmaz make a statement about how Doc Rivers is telling him to, hey, keep shooting. I think that's why it's relating to what happened the other night where he took 14 shots, which I didn't love. I thought it was a little too much, in my opinion. He shot 12 shots. He shot 4 of 12. I think that's what it was. He finished 4 of 12 against the Knicks the night before. I didn't love how many he took, but there's this conversation going with a lot of the shooters, I feel, from Doc Rivers, and the message is, hey, keep going. Hey, let it fly, let it rip. And you're seeing Seth take them from deep, take them from distance. And it's big for sure. But now you're going to lose that. And I think Furkan is probably going to slide into that because of the three-point shooting part of it, and Doc Rivers has done that before with Furkan, and considering Furkan is on one of his better roles, then I would imagine that's what's going to happen, but I don't know if that is going to be effective long-term here, and we're going to have to keep our eyes out for Seth Curry. I do want to say this about Doc Rivers, though. Every time they cut to the bench, and this isn't standard, so this isn't anything related to Brett Brown. This is just around the league. When I watch any team play, when I watch any coach on the sideline, and obviously I don't study other coaches the same way that I study Doc Rivers because this is the team that I cover, but he is actively showing anyone who comes off the bench what they're going to do or what they should be doing. They'll stop someone and be like, hey, dip the shoulder around. And the play I remember specifically, it kind of related me to a defensive lineman and a defensive coach and kind of showing, hey, this is what you want to do with your arms and swing your arms and lower the shoulder, bend around the offensive lineman. It had that similar action to it. And it's always, though, when someone comes to the bench, Doc Rivers is telling somebody what to do. And it's not just Doc Rivers, it's the entire coaching staff. And I stressed that from the start of this Daryl Morey-Doc Rivers tandem. And Doc Rivers was hired first, so he was starting to pluck away some coaches around the league. But when you look at an entire coaching staff, all members, all big-time members of this unit, Sam Cassell, Burke, Doc Rivers, you also have Jones. As a package, in its totality, they might have the best core in general. And I love the active coaching, the active teaching. You don't see that around the league with many of these coaches at all. Even Greg Popovich, everyone has their own style, but he really is, hey, you got to do this, hey, you got to do that. And I find that very entertaining to see. All right, so with that being said, why don't we cruise on over to the Anytime Hotline and hear your reaction after this tough loss. I would label it a tough loss, a disappointing loss, but for anyone to say, oh, you blew a lead, or oh, you had this big lead, you're not going to hold Milwaukee to 31 points. All right, in a half. It's just not realistic. They were going to find their rhythm. They were going to shoot it better. You knew it was coming. Could you match that, though? And their answer was no, they couldn't match it because they couldn't score enough, and then they got tired, and the defensive effort maybe was a bit off towards the end, but that's what happens when you play 2 games in a row and you're in overtime. You're in overtime now. Now it's added bonus. Yeah, good luck.
Wow, crazy game. I'm not even too disappointed in the game, back-to-back. Felt like they were a lot fresher in the first half than they were in the second, but their offense wasn't really there all night. Weren't hitting shots. Too many turnovers, so the offense wasn't really there at all tonight. But I thought the defense was really good for the most part of the whole game. And I think it came down to we didn't have Joel Embiid. I think we would have dominated this game if we had Joel Embiid. I feel like I would like to play the Bucks in the playoffs. They don't scare me. They don't really scare me at all. I mean, put Ben Simmons on Giannis if he gets by him. Joel Embiid's right there at the rim. We didn't have that tonight, but Giannis sitting on the floor. I mean, let's do that when Joel Embiid's on the floor.
I agree with you there. I thought Giannis, I felt he was so annoyed and so bothered with what happened early that he was just expressing how pumped up he was, and he reacted in a very immature way. But you saw him earlier in the first half with Ben on him, that he was grabbing the ball and trying to squeeze it and dribbling it hard when there would be an offensive foul call. He tackled Ben Simmons. He tried to run right through him, and it was an offensive foul. The ball was going the other way. He turned the ball over a couple of times. He was getting swarmed. He got so annoyed with driving and attacking the rim, he would settle for a 3, and he hit nothing but air. It was that abysmal of a shot. So I think that he got so bothered and so internally beat up that when he started to get to the rim and when he started to get those easy layups and when he started to kick it out and the teammates were actually hitting their threes, that his expressions came out in that way. But I'm with you. You're going up against a team without Seth Curry, who left, and without Joel Embiid, and you're going to have that type of reaction. I didn't realize that this was the second round of the postseason. I didn't realize that that was a game clincher in Game 6. By no means was it that special. Was it that important to allow yourself to get that type of emotion out after a win? You're spinning around like that. What a joke. What a joke. I don't know how I feel about Giannis, honestly. I think he's a bit of a fraud because it's very similar to the Ben Simmons effect where there's that huge flaw. And when I say fraud, I'm not saying personally, but I'm saying in terms of being able to get it done right now. We talk about him as if he's unstoppable and he's the greatest, and I understand he's won MVPs and he's had good seasons and he's a force, but there's a huge hole in your game. And that hole has been a huge reason why the Milwaukee Bucks have not been able to get past the Toronto Raptors in years past and isn't able to get to that next hump and isn't able to raise the banner and get that championship. Until you have Giannis take that leap, you're going to see issues like you saw tonight where Ben Simmons was able to suffocate him. Man, he had no answers. The answer was Sixers got tired. And maybe that's wearing you down. Maybe that's part of the plan. Keep wearing them down. Lower the shoulder. Go, 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 go. You might have some turnovers early, and they might get some nice steals on you early, but if you continue to do it, let's go back to the football analogy. It's like pounding the rock. You might not gain 8 yards early. You might not gain 10 yards early. Keep running the ball. Get 2, get 3, get 2, get 3. Wear that defensive line down. Eventually, you'll be able to squeak through. Maybe that's something that they wanted to bet on, and if they did, well, they won that bet.
I can't say I was surprised by the outcome, but I also can't say I'm not disappointed. Blowing that big league like that, I don't think it's as bad as people say just because that horrible shooting is pretty unsustainable. Like, they were shooting an insanely low number, like an insanely low percent from, like, the field in general. And so were we. Something had to give. It's still very disappointing that they didn't do that. Ben Simmons, man. For him clamping Giannis on the defensive end, he was dog shit on the offensive end. He has to do something. You can't be relying on Furkan Korkmaz to go full Michael Jordan the fourth quarter in overtime. to winning basketball games. Tobias Harris struggled. Shake Milton looks lost out there.
I'll stop you there because I definitely want to hit on Tobias Harris. That's a good point. Tobias Harris did struggle, and I wanted to see if he can have 2 of those games in a row. Now, I have really appreciated what Tobias Harris has been to this point, and by no means am I looking at this game and saying, oh, I now question who Tobias is, because he has been effective for you on most nights. A lot of the nights, majority of the nights, he's been that X factor for you, and he's been that perfect player that you need. If Tobias has to become your go-to guy every night, Tobias is not that type of player where you can rely on him every single night. Those guys are rare. Those guys are special. But Tobias Harris has been a perfect mix to Joel Embiid, and that's a great role for him. That is a stellar role for Tobias Harris. But if you now have to rely on Tobias Harris to now be that player where every night, every clutch movement, every game, every shot, every big-time shot is, hey, Tobias, I need it to be you tonight. Well, yeah, Tobias isn't that. That's unfair to expect that version of Tobias Harris to be here. That is extreme, and there's not a lot of those players out there that you can do that with. I could probably count it on one hand, and if not, there's a few others. All right, let's just try LeBron James, Damian Lillard, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, James Harden. Who else are we missing here? Of course, there's going to be some other ones. Kawhi Leonard is one that you can say. There's probably more, of course. I'm just really spitballing off the top of my brain here, but you get my point. So I'm not looking at this any differently from Tobias's perspective, because if I know his role, all right? If his role had to be something more than what it has been this year, then I would be scared. But I know what his role is when this team is properly rocking and rolling and with the right people, and when the injuries aren't there with Joel and Seth, and that role makes me very excited.
Disappointing loss tonight for the Sixers. I understand we're the best team in the East, and, I think the Bucks and the Nets are going to be our biggest challenge going into playoffs and going forward. But I like what I saw tonight from the Sixers. I like what I saw from Simmons. I hope Curry's okay. He has a sprained ankle. Hopefully he's okay. Now we have Embiid and Curry out, and I don't know how it's going to be going forward.
I don't know how it's going to be going moving forward either. This Shake experience, I'm telling you, I am out on this Shake thing. He looks so lost, and he's looked so lost for so long. You got to try and do something new. You got to try and freshen it up a bit. I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think Doc Rivers is going to tell Shake Milton the same thing he's been telling Matisse Thybulle, same thing he's been telling Furkan Korkmaz, the same thing he's been telling other guys. Shoot the ball. Shoot the ball, keep shooting the ball, keep doing you, keep playing your way, and you're going to get yourself out of this funk. I think to a degree that's a fine message. I'm not mad at that message by any means. But at some point, it's might be a reality of, hey, you might not have that funk getting out of this year. It might not be a this year thing. Maybe it's a next year thing. Maybe it takes a little bit of time for him to do it. But there's no real time that you have, right? You're running out of time. You're on the back stretch. You got to find out your roles. You got to find out what you're going to do in the playoffs. You got to find out what players are going to play in the rotation. You need all of these answers right now. You need to find it. You need to learn what you're going to do. Unless this is Doc Rivers, I'm looking at all the options. Is this Doc Rivers admitting Tyrese Maxey isn't it? I know that. This is our answer unless Daryl Morey makes a phone call and acquires a secondary ball handler, which we would imagine is going to happen. But you had a couple names come off the board. Trevor Ariza, and you had P.J. Tucker off the board. Not that those guys would have played that role, but those are names that you could have potentially looked at to help out your roster as they make that final push. Maybe it's Doc Rivers admitting it's not Tyrese, so it is Shake Milton until further notice. So we got to keep putting him out there and keep getting him unlost. I just don't know if that's ever going to happen. All right, why don't we take one more here?
Yo, Brodes. What can I say, man? Kind of pissed. That's a game we should have won easily. We had a 17-point lead at the half. Like you said on your tweet, Ben really needs to see in the mirror and think about his offense. Doc cannot continue to brag about his defense when in the fourth quarter he's unusable, and that's when things matter.
You're not wrong. That is when things matter, and It's so hard for me. I'm so conflicted. I'm getting pulled one way so hard. I'm getting pulled the other way just as brutally intense. So I love half of his game, and the other half makes me so sick. I want to vomit every single day. I don't know if I can look at this as a game they should have won, though. Not really. Even though the circumstances were what they were, 45-31? They were up 14 points at half. Maybe they had more of a lead into that third quarter a bit, but yeah, I can't look at this and say, oh, you had a double-digit lead. There's no way you should have blew it. Yeah, there probably was a way they should have blew it. They just played a game the night before. It's now the fourth quarter. Your defense isn't playing as hard because they're tired. You lose one of your starters. You already don't have your big man. Yeah, and you can't expect the Milwaukee Bucks to shoot that low, to shoot that poorly. 1 of 17 from 3. That's not going to last. So you knew that there was going to be more than 31 points. So unfortunately, you just saw it there in that fourth quarter and into that overtime period slowly get chipped away before the Bucks took the lead, and you could only do so much. But there were turnovers involved. Ben Simmons with a turnover, Shake Milton with an timeout turnover, and giving up easy buckets in transition. Lopez made some shots. Drew Holiday had some nice moments. So they kind of had those players stepping up the way that they needed to down the stretch of the game. On to college basketball. March's biggest tournament is finally here, and if you have no clue what I'm doing, this is called a DraftKings read. We do not know who will be cutting down the nets at the end, but we do know there will be no shortage of madness. DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is putting new customers in the center of the action. Bet $4 on an underdog, win $256 if they win. It's that simple. Turning $4 into $256 is 64-1 odds. Every dollar you bet can turn into $64. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code Brodes when you sign up to turn $4 into $256 if the underdog of your choosing pulls off the upset. That's code Brodes to turn $4 into $256 for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older, Pennsylvania only, new customers only, restrictions apply. In partnership with Meadows Racetrack and Casino. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, they play the Kings. You have a 4-game stretch right now, right? When you play the Kings, that'll be your 4th game. 3-1. I'm totally cool with that one. 3-1 in a 4-game window? Sign me up. So take care of business, and we'll move on from this. Take care of business, and we will move on. Thank you all so much for listening, and I will see you next time.